electric wise, everything's working. That's a win in my book. So it is Monday, October 16th. Friday, I discovered that the clutch pedal isn't going to work because the clutch cable tube is broken free inside the tunnel. But I really don't feel like getting really dirty today, going through and cutting out the floor pans. It's a lot of dust and debris, and I just don't feel like it today. However, I need to go through and make sure that all my electrical works. So got a battery in here. We'll hook it up and we'll see what works and what doesn't. It appears that with my lights off, my gas gauge is on. My ignition switch turns on the gauge, that's fine. I'm gonna have to pull out my headlight switch and figure out why my running lights are on, which is probably gonna be in there, and well, not probably, it's in there definitely. All my fuses are good, but I got, oh, look at that. I got a dome light. And it's on. Is it off the switch? Oh, that's off the door jamb. In, door would be closed. On, door open. Always off. Self-powered ground, which I just ran a wire over to this little clip, and that works. So that's promising. Now I've got to figure out why my dash lights are on, and that's on that headlight switch. So let me get that pulled out and figure out what's going on there. Oh, and along that, well, that running light's on because obviously we've got power to the running lights. That running light's on because, same reason. That one's not, which is odd, so we'll get into there. And it could be that this just does not have a good ground because the fender's very loosely bolted. But let me set up the tripod, get out the old power probe, and start figuring things out. Power probe. Untangle yourselves. All right, so when I get power to there, I get lights there, so that's good. I'm going to start by grounding that fender out. There. Only needs 2 bolts to hold the fender on, right? Now, I'm going to check all the fuses and make sure we're getting a good contact to our fuses. We're just not getting a good contact through there, so a little sandpaper on the fuse contacts and we'll see how it goes. And you know what? A little light probably would help too, huh? Well, let's see how it goes. Everyone gets a fuse because why not, right? At this point, I can see from here that we now have power at that front right side, which is good for our fuses. Hey, look at that. We got a light. We got a license plate light. We got a tail light. And we got 2 running lights. Now, let me pull out my headlight switch. And to do that, I'm going to disconnect the battery so I don't short anything out. And even though, never mind, I got the circuit breaker. I can just pop the circuit breaker. Just like that. All right, let's pull out that headlight switch and see what's going on there. And now I'm filming on the inside with the GoPro, so, and I wonder if this is because I'm blind or I see the problem. It looks like my running light circuit was touching our main power wire. So let's test that theory. Yep, just that little bit. Since I jumped our dash lights off of our 58 terminal, our running light circuit, the jumper was just ever so slightly touching. The problem here is I don't want to flip this around and fear that it might ground out against the dash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of plastic tubing or heat shrink or something or other. I'm going to cover this terminal so that it doesn't arc out against that, at which point there I got my running lights. There I've got headlights, high beams, low beams, high beams, low beams. Awesome. All right, let me kick our circuit breaker off and take care of that real quick. And you know what? Just for grins, I'm going to double check. Got that there. Where did I leave the knob at? Oh well, it'll turn up eventually, I'm sure. I want to double check our rheostat. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Ha ha ha. Well, in all of that, just working it on and off and on and off, our dash rheostat decided to come back to life. So that negates the need for any of those jumper terminals. I can just go back to there. Dim, light, awesome. And we'll put you back where you belong. Headlights off. Let's kick our circuit breaker off again. And stick our headlight switch back in place. And that solves all of that. Now I just got to find my headlight knob. Where did I leave that knob at? Did I leave you in there? No? Whatever. Must not have been that important. Apparently I turned the headlight or the wipers on. Speed 2. Speed 1. Off. All right, that works. See our rheostat. Let me turn off this light. Bright. Dim. Bright. Awesome. Left turn. Right turn. Here's the big question, is whether or not, well, our bulb doesn't light up inside the knob, but at least they work. Horn. Horn is very horny. Wipers work. Brake lights. Do we have brake lights? Yes, we do, but you guys can't see that. So high beams, low beams, turn signals, running lights, horn, flashers, wipers. Everything's looking good. The only thing I can't really check on right now is reverse lights because those aren't in place yet. But let me show you guys that our brake lights work. Running lights. Check, check, check. Left turn. Right turn. Hazards. Obviously the starter works. Electrically, we are all good to go. Which means my next step is cutting out the old floor pans. And cutting a hole in the tube right here. I guess we'll start there. Oh, guess what? I just found the knob and lost it. I set it underneath the parking brake. Like an ultramaroon. There we go. So, electrically, we are good to go. But now I'm going to have to pull out the pedal assembly, pull out the seat, cut out the floor pans, cut a hole in the tunnel, pull out that battery so I can do all that work. While I'm at it, you guys may or may not have noticed it, but that used to be brown. I actually brushed on some Seal rust converter, and now you can see that it's blue and black and various tones of other colors. Since, this is actually a lot of the old padding on there, but I sealed all that to convert all the rust. I think I'm going to do the rest of the interior once I cut out the rest of the headliner. I might just leave the rest of the headliner in there for grins for the car show because it just shows how original the car was. But yeah, I want to convert all the rust and surface rust and get it protected for the future. So yeah, I got a lot of work to do inside this car. Since I've got to do the A-pillar repair, I need to pull off this fender so I can get in there and do some repair on that. So I guess for now, I'll start here, pull this fender off, and yeah, I've still got work to do, but it ain't going to do itself. I might as well do it now, huh? All right. I guess we'll start by disconnecting this guy. Of course, I can't see what color wires are what. Black on the inside, gray on the outside. Disconnect that. Drop this one out of the way and maybe not so much remove it, depending on how long I can pull that headlight harness out. Only so much I can do with this fender with the headlight attached. That gives me good access to right there. You hang out there. Or right there. Now I can do some cutting and welding on that section in a little bit. Also, I don't know if I showed this before or not, but I did get the fresh air hoses attached in there and up in there. I have that side dropped in, but I'm missing the T connection, so I'm waiting for that to come in, at which point that will attach down in there, which it is, but of course, obviously, we've got all this rust in place first. We have to get all that rust taken care of inside and out, and then we can drop those tubes back in place. To start, I guess I'm going to do a little cutting right now. We'll see how much I don't have to remove, hopefully, but obviously we need to get some of this rust out of here. Let me see what I can do with a cutoff wheel real quick. All right, well, I'm going to pull that defroster hose out of the way. I'm probably going to hit all this with a flap wheel. Need to go inside and cut out what's left of this, and then I'll scrape it all away as much as possible, blow it all out, and then I'm going to treat it with some Cora-Seal just to make certain that everything in here that is rust is no longer rust. Try and vacuum that stuff out, try and blow that stuff out, and we'll see how it goes from there. And you see what probably caused this was, I want to say the sunroof drain tube actually drains from this corner straight down this, and then I want to say there's actually a little weep hole right here that it's supposed to drain out of. But however, if this gets clogged with dirt or anything else, then the sunroof can't drain, and all this water seeps in here. And if you imagine when you're parked, if you happen to be parked on a street, typically the street's crowned so that all the rain drains to the right side of the road into the rain gutters along the curb. So the car would be sitting at an angle. Any rain that happened to be, draining through the sunroof when it was parked would go to the right side, and obviously this is where it's going to get all gathered up. Typically as well, any dirt and debris on the roads will typically drain to the right side. Your right side tire is going to kick it up into this area, and it would get clogged up even more with dirt and debris and whatnot. Now, granted, this is behind the fender and above the running board, but dirt's still going to work its way in here and then not allow the sunroof drain tube to drain. And that's what happens when your drain tube cannot drain. So, just another thing we're going to have to repair. Oh yeah. Nothing but dirt. In lieu of a spray bottle, I'm just going to dump some of this stuff in. Here. I'm going to let that do its thing. This outside panel is the most important part, obviously, because that seals the outside from the in. So once I get a repair panel welded in place there, I'll go through the inside and get that patched up. But before I do any of that, I want to actually go through and make sure I get that fresh air hose down in place, because it's really hard to get it in place because it's a tight hole and I got big fat hands. So before I actually patch that up and weld it up, I'm going to actually drop the fresh air hose in from the bottom and get all the hoses connected up top. That way I know that's in place for many years to come. hopefully. Not sure what else I want to do today. Like I said, I don't want to get in there and cut those out, and besides I need to bring the Sawzall down. I need to get some metal blades for the Sawzall. I guess I could pull the pedal assembly out, right? I guess I might as well. I'm going to have to anyway. Might as well get that done. All right, I don't know how well you guys can see this, but I'm going to try to get you guys in there along with me and see how I have this clutch cable all the way tight to try and get that clutch to engage, but it wouldn't. But I can hear the pedal dropping, so that should be enough slack to get that pedal off at the front so I can pull the pedal assembly without actually disconnecting the cable. But there you can see that 6-shooter clutch adjustment knob. Oh man, that thing's a wonderful piece to use. Makes adjusting the clutch cable so much easier. Got that one, good. I gotta do it the old-fashioned way. Yahtzee! All right, pedal assembly out. Pull the seat out. Might as well scrape that stuff out so I can access this side of the tunnel for that access plate. So if I go 3.5 by 4, give myself some overlap. And that's no bueno. There's a lot of stuff in there. So that brace right there, see that long bowing tube is our clutch cable tube, and it should be held in place there off that brace. I'll probably brace it over to the tunnel and then down to the bottom of the tunnel to hold it in place so it doesn't move around like crazy. Let's take a look up forward. If I can get the camera in here without shutting down the turning off the record or the light. Shift rod bushing, horrible. Everything else looks to be in good shape. I'll probably be able to see better once I put this on my computer, because right now looking on my cell phone is kind of hard, but we'll get there. There we can see the shift rod bushing in place up there. And the front clutch tube brace was already in place. I know that when we were cutting in our front access plate. But anyway, I've got some cleaning and some vacuuming and some whatnots to do in there. Yeah, tomorrow we'll do some welding maybe. Well, I also got to do a lot more cutting on these floor pans, but one thing at a time, okay? I think I'm going to wait until after I weld that brace in to dump some core seal in there, and then I'll lower the front end down so all the core seal just puddles towards the front, and that way all this rust inside the tunnel gets converted, at least for a little bit. Well, that side works. This side, not so much. Apparently, it was broken. But as long as our heat works in the back, this is missing a flap, that's missing a flap, so I'll have to obtain some of those. But yeah, we've got stuff to do. Mainly, for now, it's going to be waiting till tomorrow so I can bring a Sawzall down and do a lot of cutting and unbolting. Also got to bring my welder in tomorrow. That's tomorrow's problem, not today's problem. All right, I'm going to clean up and pretty much just call it a day. So we'll catch you guys on the next segment.